Hi, my name's Annika, and welcome back to Art to Wellness. Today's theme is resilience, and we're going to be showing this by drawing flowers. Humans are like flowers. We have to adapt, grow, and change, all while staying true to our roots. Pun intended. Life definitely isn't easy for flowers, but they overcome this by their resilience and strength, and by doing this, they turn into the beautiful flowers that we get to see every single day. For this drawing, I used normal white printer paper and colored pencils. And let's get started! Hello, it's time to start drawing, but first of all, just remember that whatever I'm drawing, it does not mean that you have to draw the same thing. You should draw your favorite flowers because in the end, it's truly about what you like. So I'm starting by drawing a hibiscus, a purple and pink hibiscus, because we grow them in our yard and it's one of my favorite flowers. I just think it's really pretty. So I started by drawing 5 petals, and then I'm adding an orange stem going out from the middle. These edges of the petals I drew kind of crinkly and lopsided because often when I see hibiscus, they're not perfect and they are a little bit like, the edges are a little bit torn sometimes, but I just decided to incorporate this into my drawing. So I'm starting the middle with a darker magenta color and I'm filling in the edges of the petals with a light pink. And this flower is a good reminder of you don't have to be perfect to be beautiful, because hibiscus definitely aren't perfect, but they're still one of my favorites. The second flower, I'm starting by drawing 4 like base petal shapes, and they can be any shapes you want, and then filling it in with yellow and adding some perspective by going behind the petals and creating more. And another point is that my art style does not involve filling everything in, so sometimes you might see only parts of flowers filled in, like on this orange flower, but it's truly up to you because in the end it's your world and it's your flowers. So this next flower is, I'm not entirely sure what the name is, but I draw it by drawing a lot of little purple stars and then filling it in with another color of purple stars, and then going around the entire border and lightly filling it in purple. I don't know the name of this, like I said, but it's one of my favorite flowers and we grow it in my great-grandmother's house, so I always think of her when I see it. And then I'm just adding a stem and shading it. This next flower is just one of those typical flowers that I used to draw when I was little, with a swirly center and 5 big petals. And now I'm drawing lines out from the center and shading in the petals, but once again, you can do any colors, you can do different flowers, but this is one of my favorite flowers to draw just because it reminds me of good times when I was younger. This next flower I completely made up, and it is not a flower that actually exists, I don't think, but it just came straight from my imagination and I decided that I should draw it because it came to my mind. So I started with a circle and then I added petals branching out and then a second layer of petals behind that. I'm coloring it in pink and purple because those are my favorite colors and that's really my only reason, but I just thought they looked nice together. This next flower is a rose, and you start with a swirl almost looking like a snail shell, and then you add a semicircle on the bottom of it. And after filling that in, I moved on to a more detailed rose, in which you start in the center and you draw like a little circle, and then you add little petals surrounding that circle, going down and down until you decide that that's enough. And then I bolded the lines so that you can see some contrast in the flower and it's just not one-dimensional, but you don't have to do this. And then I added its leaves. The next flower that I drew is a sunflower, and I drew this flower because it reminds me of staying positive and being happy. When I see a sunflower, I think of the sun and I think of the warmth of the sun, and it makes me really happy. I know it's not like a perfectly accurate flower, but I started with a circle, and just like my blue and purple flower, I drew petals branching out, and then I just kept drawing more and more layers of petals behind it. Sunflowers are always facing the sun, and to me this means that they are always positive and they're always spreading happiness, and it's just a good reminder to stay positive even in times when it's hard. This next flower, I'm doing a similar thing as I did with the sunflower, where you're starting with a small circle and branching out, but instead of pointy petals, you do almost C shapes. And then once you go all the way around, you shade it in. I believe this flower is called a dahlia, but I'm not 100% sure. I just thought it looked really nice. And now I'm going back in and I'm adding more contrasts to the actual petals themselves so you can see them better. For this next flower, I'm just adding little bunches of blue spots and all the way or as long or wherever you want them to be, but you just draw a bunch of blue dots and then you connect them with a green stem. I'm not entirely sure what this flower was called, but it came to my mind, so I decided to draw it. This next flower is another one of those flowers that you draw when you were little, and it's basically a spirally circle center and a few big petals branching out. And lastly, I'm filling in the background with some really quick flower doodles, and if you don't know how to do it, you just start, you put your pencil down, and you draw 5 big loops, and that's pretty much it. They're really simple flowers, but they always make me happy for some reason. I think I associate them with drawing in kindergarten, and I really enjoy drawing these flowers to this day. Now I'm adding a little bit of grass down on the left, and you can do this just by drawing little lines. Now I'm adding a few tiny flowers on the bottom. Once again, you can do this however you want. These flowers don't have to be perfect. And then lastly, don't forget to sign your name at the end because it's your creation. And good job! Proud of you!